We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. We will do some Alabama LSU recap. Let's break down a little bit of film. Let's break down some good things that LSU did, which they can take into the rest of the season, and some good things LSU can do taking in to next year. A lot can be said of what we saw this past Saturday after rewatching the game again Sunday and about maybe an hour ago. So really a lot to break down there as well. We will talk in that in breaking down some of what happened between LSU and Alabama. We will have a Ruffinos rant, something that I've been harping on for a long time now, especially defensively, and we'll talk offensive schematics and some things there. Garrett Nussmeier looking like he's going to get a lot of playing time this week. We will touch on that. Jimbo with an O or Jimbo with an E-A-U-X. Smoke screen or nah? A lot of people saying coaches are already trying to take the LSU job. But boy, are they wrong. We'll touch on that. I will touch on where I was right, where I was wrong, something that we have enacted the last couple of weeks. I will tell you where I was right, and where I was wrong. We'll go around the SEC, and the Saints lose to the Falcons in heartbreaking fashion. Dear, sweet baby Jesus. Sweet baby Jesus. We'll get into all of it. All right, let's do this. Let's get to a couple of these comments before we get started. Stan Polkey says, let's go. Let's do that. We have a Stephen Miller sighting inside the chat. TTM to all you Rudy Poos out there. Stefan says, LFG, let's go. Danny says, let's go. What's up, Mr. Broussard? Chris Barnhill says, let's go. Ryan Guidry says, let's get this party started. Let's get this party started, y'all. And a Concha Granger, our relative country man, is in the building. What's up, country? And Stuart West says, all right, now, let's go. So let's do that. Let's do this. Let's pay some bills very quickly. We got a lot to get into, a lot of coaching search stuff. I already see some of the questions already piling in. We'll get into that, and then Rufino's rants. We'll get into that as well. None better than our good friends over at GM Varndo & Sons and BetOnline.ag. Guys, with 64 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varndo & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. Or go see him over at 2500 Florida Boulevard in Denham Springs, Louisiana. Just took my wife to get her car serviced. She got 4 brand new tires in and out very quickly, only at GM. And our good friends over at betonline.ag. Guys, I've been telling you about BetOnline for such a long time now. Since we're in the state of Louisiana, it is legal to whip out your mobile devices, go and place some sporting bets. BetOnline is the fastest growing BetOnline service in the state. Get over there today. Sign up. Use the 50% welcome bonus. Use the AYS podcast tab. That way they know your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. That's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag. Let's get this thing rolling. All right. Let's get this thing rolling. Mark says, my boy. What's happening, Mark? What's happening? And Ann Clark says, I'm done defending Max after the Bama game. I'll wait till next season to condemn him, though. I think I'm there, and I know a lot of people in the post game, along with that said, I'm going to wait. A lot of people don't agree with me, and I understand that. And look, I'll even go, and for everybody who says I never talk about where I'm wrong, I can even start the show off by saying this is a part where I think I might be wrong. I still want to give Max Johnson the benefit of the doubt. I still see things schematically that LSU's offense is doing. We'll get into that, though. That is not helping them. I should have mentioned this in the opening but before we get started, guys, everybody do me a favor. If you're on Facebook, hit the like and share to your social media platforms, share to your social media pages, share to some Facebook groups. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe and notification button and tell all your friends about it. If you're on Twitter, don't forget to hit the retweet and follow button as well, as we've hit 4,700 followers on Twitter. Trying to get to the ultimate 500. So everybody follow us there. And if you're listening to us on the podcast audio version, don't forget to subscribe there. Look, I'm going to wait a second to condemn Max Johnson. Now, it looks like, a lot of things. He's got a lot that he needs to progress on. But I posted a video. This one was from Jim Nagy, who runs the Senior Bowl. And he posted a video of Fadarian Mathis, a guy from the state of Louisiana, defensive tackle from Alabama. Guys, did you know that LSU got more than 2/3 of their rushing yards this past Saturday running away from Will Anderson? Now, right after the postgame, guys, this is where, for me mentally, I start asking the question is, when a new coach comes in, how much does that benefit Max Johnson? The offensive game plan in the first half was to run at Will Anderson, the outside linebacker defensive end for Alabama, who arguably is the best defensive player in the SEC. That was their game plan. Those kinds of lacks of judgment are where I sit back and ask the question, like, what is Jake Peetz doing? And what is going on in that offensive meeting room to where they're sitting there asking that question? Now, the staff is fired. Blake, you're beating a dead horse. I get it. But I think the last dead horse, so that's where I'm wrong. Max Johnson, it looks like I could be wrong there. I'm not going to condemn the young man yet, but I was very optimistic on Max Johnson. But right now, he's late to throwing the passes, and I think that they've taken one of his biggest weapons away and running the football. Having design runs for the quarterback. How many times did we see Max Johnson have design runs against Ole Miss and design runs against Florida? They're not doing that right now. The RPO game where you get him out of the pocket, why are they using the pocket and shifting the pocket and rolling him out right when he's a left-handed quarterback? I can watch film of that Florida game last year and see half the stuff that he has success with. LSU's not running right now. Now, to say, we can continue to harp on Max Johnson, but what I will say is that and Ed Orgeron talked about this today in his press conference, Garrett Nussmeier is going to get 50% of the snaps this week. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have an issue that he is getting 50% of the snaps this week. What I do kind of wonder about and worry about is what's taken so long. And in this context, a week ago today, Ed Orgeron said that he had spoke with Doug Nussmeier, Garrett's dad, who's on the Cowboys staff, and Garrett about taking a red shirt, and that they did not want to put Garrett Nussmeier in the game for meaningless snaps. In a meaningless game that means nothing. Well, newsflash to everybody in that conversation, Garrett Nussmeier, Doug Nussmeier, Ed Orgeron, and whoever, I'm not saying that any snap for the rest of the season is meaningless. What are you playing for? If you're playing to get to a bowl game, I understand it. But it's not like you're going to the SEC championship game. What reps, what game means more than Alabama? And to everybody saying that Ed Orgeron shouldn't have taken the points when he was down 20-14 and in the red zone, guys, for 4 straight weeks, or for 4 straight games, I should say, even going back to the Auburn game, LSU has had one huge struggle offensively, and it's in the red zone outside of the passing game. Guys, in the red zone is where LSU has struggled the most. They start off really hot. Every 17 times that they got into the red zone, they scored. Over the last 10, they've scored 6. They've scored 4. They've missed 6. You're missing on opportunities to get points. We can't come out here and say that Lane Kiffin is mismanaging games. So let's take LSU and Ed Orgeron out of it. Just a week ago today, we were talking about Lane Kiffin mismanaging the game against Tennessee, but now that it's LSU and Ed Orgeron, we don't want to talk about that. Why is that? There's nothing more on this schedule that meant more to LSU, to LSU's fan base, to the coaching staff, and to the players than beating Alabama. So I question that logic. So here comes the Ruffinos rants here. That's a lot to talk about offensively. But the biggest surprise and what everybody's going to take away from this past game is LSU's defense. Durante Jones, coming up on a year ago when he was hired as the defensive coordinator for LSU, said two things that stood out. We have the audio that we can play. It said LSU's defense was going to be fast and LSU's defense was going to be aggressive. Well, over 2 years, ladies and gentlemen, we had not seen the scheme change for LSU defensively until this past Saturday. Now, don't get it twisted, y'all. Don't get it twisted. Durante Jones outcoached and out-schemed Bill O'Brien and Nick Saban. If you think that he didn't, why did it take the GOAT, Nick Saban, 4 quarters to adjust to zero coverage, all-out blitz? The same thing that we were saying about Jake Peets and LSU after UCLA could have been said the same to Alabama. The only difference is that Alabama won the game. That's the only difference. The only difference that you're going to see is that Alabama actually won the football game. The only one. So I sit here and I ask myself the simple question. Why has Ed Orgeron been meddling in this team as much and not letting his coaches coach and his coordinator call plays? How different could this season have been if he wasn't meddling in the defense? Because here's the ultimate lie that every LSU fan and everybody around the SEC and everyone nationally has been saying. LSU, damn it, doesn't have the talent. To everybody that will listen to this, bullshit. LSU does have the talent. And here's the crazy thing. They have the talent and the depth because the second and third string guys are making the plays. You want to know how bad Ed Orgeron, and I shouldn't say bad, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but I think that what we saw Saturday opens the door from what's going on the field. The entire offseason, I came up with a slogan. It's not something that I originally made up. It was something that we brought back from a rapper named Mike Jones. Who, Mike Jones? Ed Orgeron said that he's having a hard time getting off of blocks and getting to the ball carrier or to the quarterback. Bullshit! Because the times that you played him, he ran over a 317-pound offensive guard and sacked Bryce Young. Bullshit! To every coach that's out there, to every coach that thinks that LSU's a good job, you have a lot of talent. Now, what would have happened if Derek Stingley Jr. and Elias Ricks? Now, I've been telling you this whole time that this defense is not Durante Jones. Now, do you believe me? What do you think's going on offensively? Do you think that the schemes are just changing? Did Max Johnson regress? By the way, his throwing shoulder is beat to hell. So, yes, I'm going to give the one player that's getting his shit kicked in, meaning Max Johnson, because quite honestly, the right guard, God bless it, guys, Chase and Hines played probably one of the worst games I've seen an LSU offensive lineman play in a long time. Marlon Martinez should have been in the game in the second series. You put him in at center when Liam Shanahan goes down. I like to see Marlon Martinez win in at center and actually made the call, and he got the right call. And here's something crazy. Marlon Martinez comes in at right guard, dominates. LSU has their best rushing attack in 4 seasons. 4 seasons since Leonard Fournette has been on this team, since Darius Geis was on this team. He gets taken out for Chase and Hines. We still have success running the football, but we have film where he just wasn't that great. In my humble opinion, LSU is 4-5 now. I think LSU should be 6-3 at worst. Guys, this team could be 7-2. Stop telling me that LSU doesn't have talent. Stephen Frey, let's get to a couple of these comments. Stephen, everybody hit the like and share. Do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to some Facebook groups, subscribe, all that stuff. It does. Before I get to the comments, it does make me very upset. It makes me upset that we see the talent coming to fruition. It makes me upset that we had the two best tandem corners in the country, and we weren't running this defense. It makes me upset that the offensive game plan is to roll your left-handed quarterback out right and to run at Will Anderson and for Darian Mathis and Henry To'o. Because every time you ran at Christian Harris, guys, again, 75% or a little bit more than, or just a little bit less than 75% of the 109 yards you got rushing came from running away from those three individuals. The first 17, or no. The first 13 runs that you had are at Will Anderson and for Darian Mathis. It's not until the second half when they actually make an adjustment, which is really good, that LSU and Ty Davis probably start moving the ball. I'll get to the comments. This one. Everybody calls me a O-line biased homer. What happens when you put them in the right position to make plays? What happens when you make the right calls in the running game? 109 yards against Alabama is not something to just look away from. All right. I know I'm probably getting obliterated in these comments. Oh, well. Seven says that Billy Napier is hungry for some purple and gold. I saw somebody else up here said something about the Colada show had something. He can say he wants a job all he wants, but with all due respect to Billy Napier, if he might be the fourth or fifth guy on that list, he's not in the top three, nor should he. Sorry. Pooh Bear says on YouTube, Blake, today is the quietest Monday I've had at work in a long time. Bama fans still shook. Pooh Bear lives in Alabama. What happens when you have a competent coaching staff? What happens when you have a competent coaching staff at LSU? Guys, again, I'll tell you where I'm wrong. We're literally doing a segment. We start off the show where the hell I was wrong. Again, somebody show me where you don't have talent. You should be 5-4 right now. You're not. Andy Hughes says, coaches around the country got to be amazed at LSU hanging in there with Bama with half the starters out. Talent is crazy. Coaching staff is less than par. Stephen Miller says, Besh is still open and Mac's still holding on to the ball. Look, he does hold on to the ball way too long. He still holds on to the ball way too long. And it's something – here's my question is – and we've seen this when Max throws the ball and it gets batted up and incomplete. Receivers aren't helping either. The scheme's not helping either. Guys are being covered like snuggies. That interception, Jeray Jenkins was covered up like a snuggie. You got to do innovative shit in the passing game to back them off in man coverage. Guys, they ran man coverage all night. Alabama ran some zone. They ran some quarters. They ran a couple of zone blitzes here and there that was not picked up from Chase and Hines. But still, you got to do innovative shit. If they want to play man-to-man coverage and Brian Thomas is beating the guy off the ball and you can quick slant the shit out of him, quick slant the out of him. I mean, for crying out loud, guys. I mean, I am not a coach, and everyone bashes me for that shit. But You got to be innovative. Going trips left, running the mesh route, you got bailed out by Jack Besh. Max has to hit Jack Besh there at the end. But I will still go down with the proverbial ship that although one play can change the game, there's 59 other minutes. There's 59 other minutes. Michael says Wilson can't be traded for now. I guess y'all talking about Russell Wilson. We did talk about Odell Beckham getting cut, though. I think everybody knew that was coming. Jimbo Houdat says, I live 2 miles from GM Varno & Sons. Well, go get your car service from there, my friend. They're the best. My wife went there the other day. First class, guys. They will work with you. Harold is the guy who drives a big rig. He's always in the chat. He took his rig over there a couple of times, and they've worked on it. And guys are super fast and very efficient. Very efficient. Justin says, after seeing the defense perform the way that they did, do you think Jones stays as DC for the next head coach? No. No, I don't necessarily think that. I think that coaches want to bring their own staff in, and I'm going to give whoever the next head coach is the leeway to hire whoever they want. What I will say is for everybody that has been on Durante Jones's ass, and somewhat rightfully so, people out here saying that Durante Jones has been calling this defense. Guys, I'm sorry to tell you, it is a lie. It is a bold-faced lie. It's a bold-faced lie. When shit doesn't change in 2 years, Ed Orgeron, with all due respect to Ed, and I could see the logic of what he's thinking. Ed Orgeron was too cocky and thought that he could get home, meaning getting to the quarterback, with his 4 defensive linemen. In today's day and age, you got to blitz to keep him off guard. The Mike Jones blitz in the first half to get the sack was, and LSU being up 7-0, guys, was brilliant. The GOAT. You do realize that Nick Saban and company did not have an answer for it. They had an answer when they hit the long pass. LSU then backed out. But they still sent the pressure. Holding Alabama to 6 rushing yards is absolutely impressive. Everybody wants to talk about talent and a lack thereof, but coaching matters. Putting your players in the right position to make plays always matters. Always matters. And it doesn't start on game day. It starts during the spring. Jason Barnes sends us some stars via Facebook. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. But if it's a guy like Lincoln Riley, I mean, shit. Jared says, does Jimbo or any other coach think twice about taking the LSU job due to the ongoing investigation? So let's talk a little Jimbo. Jimbo with an O or Jimbo with an E-A-U-X? Guys, there's way too much smoke out there to say that Jimbo Fisher has not been told that he could be the next head coach of LSU football. Or they're talking about it, or they've talked about it in depth. I think what people lack to think or remember or understand is that Scott Woodward made that man $75 million richer, and all of it guaranteed. All of it. You mean to tell me if Scott Woodward calls Jimbo, he's not picking up the phone call? You're outside your effing box if you think that he's not going to pick up that phone. I'm not saying it's Jimbo. Let me put this on record and let me make it very clear. Does Jimbo look at it? Maybe. Talking about from Jared's question on the ongoing investigation, maybe, because Jimbo's not a spring chicken. Jimbo's getting on up there. And let me say this. I don't know how much I trust a man that wears a Velcro snap hat. like this. Let me take it off so everybody listening on the podcast, I'm sorry. Like this. You see how we got the snapback here? You see how we got the snapback? That man wears Velcro. I don't trust a man that wears a Velcro snap hat. Just don't. In my personal opinion, and what Scott has done is send a lot of smoke screens. From what I've heard, now I'm not taking this as truth. Until I can get some better sourcing on this, I'm not taking it. But I think here's your four. I think it's Jimbo Fisher. I think it's Lincoln Riley. I think it's Mel Tucker, and I think it's Billy Napier. And the fifth guy that might be out there, I think it's somebody that nobody's talked about, and Scott Wilburd's just going to pull the proverbial rabbit out of the hat. I think that's your four. But everybody's saying Billy Napier is going to be the next head coach of LSU football right now. That's bullshit. Brian Williams says, #Ask Blake, where in the hell has that defense been that we saw Saturday night all year? Oh, finally not meddling. Correct. Mark Lake says, hope this team shows up the next 3 weeks like they did Saturday and ends on a 4-game winning streak. They can. It's going to take more of an offensive effort. Now, we haven't talked much on Garrett Nussmeier, but I will say this. For everybody saying the following things, hear me out. If the offensive line is trash, if the receivers can't get separation and can't catch the football, if Jake Peets and DJ Mangus don't know what the hell they're doing, if Ed Orgeron is constantly meddling in the offense, if Garrett Nussmeier is not ready, that's a bad combination of 5 things that you don't fucking want. I will give you that Max holds on to the football too long. I will be critical where I can be critical on his play. However, if you think this shit changes magically, you're a little off. Garrett Nussmeier might be able to make some magic happen because that's the type of player he is. He's a gunslinger, and he might be able to do it. It doesn't change the fact that he's going to sit in the pocket and be under pressure because you have some guys playing that have absolutely no reason right now to be playing. There is definitely one person along this offensive line that does not need to play over Marlon Martinez. Period. Point blank. I don't mean that in a wrong way. And I think that player can work himself to being a good kid, but technique-wise, he's not that great. And physicality-wise, he's not better than Marlon Martinez. He's just not. Again, you rushed for 109 yards, and really Max had minus 15, so add 15 yards to it. If you add 15 yards to 109, getting 124 net rushing yards. Guys, that's having 124 net rushing yards against Alabama. Guys, you dominated up front in the running game. You do realize that, correct? Going over 100 is against that team, the number 2 team in the country, is a big deal. Again, what happens? But I don't know if Nuss completely changes everything that's going on. He can't make the receivers get separation. He doesn't have a pass-catching tight end. He doesn't, quite honestly, right now have somebody that can catch the ball out of the backfield religiously. I will say this. Amari Goodwin getting taken out of the game. Guys, Amari Goodwin gave up on the wheel route. The one innovative thing they did, if you remember, there was a wheel route along the sidelines. Max threw it to Amari Goodwin, who had the linebacker Christian Harris beat. He gave up on it because he didn't think he was getting the ball. Adam says, so was Pelini. So was Pelini on what? So was Pelini on what? So again, everybody wants to talk about Pelini. People that don't know, and I don't mean this in a wrong way, but you please show, because I can show you film from 2020 to 2021 where nothing changed schematically. You better come with some very, very, very good detailed reference on why the defense and how the defense changed in 2020 to 2021 instead of this past Saturday. Guys, it didn't. You can believe what you want to believe because that's our society. Our society says, oh, well, I don't think that happened, so I don't have to believe it. Facts don't give an F word about your feelings. I see some Jimbo talk in the comments here. You could do a lot worse than Jimbo Fisher. You could do a lot worse for a coach than Jimbo Fisher. Shit, we're seeing it. He's not my guy, man. I'm not a big Jimbo Fisher fan. Let me just say this. I'm not a big Jimbo fan. I kind of think, for me personally, now I haven't thought this all the way through, but if Jimbo Fisher's your next head coach at LSU, you take that title away from Scott Woodward of him being the big game hunter. Being the big game hunter is going to get, for this coaching hire, Lincoln Riley. It's going to get Mario Cristobal. It's going to find, even though I wouldn't want Dabo Swinney, it's going out and being able to swing and get Dabo effing Swinney. Not a guy that you go back 21 years with. Not a guy that, quite honestly, about a month and a half ago was getting his team was getting their asses beat by Arkansas. Now, before you say A&M beat Alabama, LSU is a play away from doing it. Now, I do think that Jimbo Fisher at LSU, from an offensive standpoint, if he hires the right defensive coordinator like Mike Elko, who's their defensive coordinator right now that shit could be very dangerous. Jimbo could be dangerous at LSU, but I don't want him. Just so I'm making myself clear. Michael Ray says zone read won't work if the quarterback never keeps. It's a good point. And they're telling me he hasn't. See, what nobody fails to understand is when Max Johnson, who's a mobile quarterback, can't run, he's not a sit back in the pocket type of guy. Stephen Miller says we will Saturday night to Brandon Reese. So what did Brandon say? Brandon says, let's see what Nuss can do. Well, and Stephen's right. We will see Saturday night. But that whole situation with him and Ed and Doug Nussmeier, that shit's crazy to me. That shit don't sit well with me. Can Garrett come in here and do some good things? Shit, yeah. And he's probably going to. Garrett's gonna come in here and sling that bitch. He's a more athletic Baker Mayfield. That's what he is, with a better arm. That is who Garrett Nussmeier is. He is a more athletic with Baker Mayfield with a bigger arm. And to Ed Orgeron, you can tell that kid not to run all you want, but he don't give two shits about what you say. Great players don't give a damn if they can make the play. We kind of I said this, and I said it last Monday. I said LSU should take the robe off and let them titties hang. I was kind of hearing some things Monday is why I said it. Guys, it came to fruition. But Garrett Nussmeier is going to let that shit go, bro. You can't tame a wild tiger all the time. Y'all like the pun I just did there? Y'all like you can't tame the tiger. That is Garrett Nussmeier. God, I should have been a rapper, man. I'm rhyming like my name's Dr. Seuss in this bitch. Shit. Ann says, Jake Pete sucks. He ain't that good right now. He's in over his skis, man. He's in over his skis. Skipper Tally says even my grandson was upset with rolling Max to the right instead of to the left. Yeah, that shit makes no sense to me. It makes sense to me if you do it once. Hell, I even understand it if you do it twice if you had success the first time. Guys, this is 4 and 5 times. They're rolling his ass out right. Max isn't getting the best coaching right now. And I do feel for the kid. Anthony says, do we think Max will start all year just to keep his brother, or is he better than that? I don't think he started because we were trying to get his brother. Especially when especially when Ed's about to get his ass fired. Stephen Miller says, Emre, I'm not so sure it's actually even a read. And talking about the zone read, I agree with Stephen. It's not a read. It's a constant give. Guys, again, we can beat down on Max all we want, and it's fine. You got to be critical where you have to be critical. But how the hell are you going to run a zone read and you won't allow him to even pull it? Jacob Marceau says we don't help the quarterback out at all. No slants, screens, etc. Routes take too long to develop. That's so true. So true. Stephen Miller says there's been many times where the D end was crashing down the line and we gave it instead of keeping it. And I don't think that's on. It's hard for me to effing believe that that's on Max, guys. Hearing some things I'm hearing from the staff about them telling him he can't run. I don't know what to tell you. You can, but see, it'd be one thing if I came out here and said that they've told Max Johnson not to run and he was running his happy ass off. He's not. And when he does run, you remember when he ran a couple of times against Alabama, he's so timid to run. What the fuck changed from Florida to Ole Miss? Ed Orgeron wasn't about to get his ass fired. That's what changed. Chance on Facebook says Nuss won't be here for 5 years, so the red shirt don't matter. Well, they wanted it. Apparently Ed said that they wanted it. I mean, so I don't get any of that. Jacob Cole brings up an interesting point. He says, is Max still hurt? Because if so, it's wrong to risk Max's further injury. God, I'm messing this all the way up. But for further injury because Nuss's parents want to maintain redshirt eligibility. And I agree with that. Ed should have never came out and said that shit. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm beating a dead horse. Let's do this. Let's pay some bills very quickly. We'll get back to all your comments. None better than a good friend, Ernie Drake and Ryan Williams over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com, 985-386-7600, 985-386-7600, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Title, successions, real estate, they do it all. Guys, if you've been affected by Hurricane Ida, they're taking a lot of clients in that their insurance companies have really done them wrong. Get in touch with the Drake Williams Law Firm today, drakewilliamslawfirm.com, and my good friend John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage. If you're buying a new home, saving money on the mortgage that you have now, or even doing that cash out refi, the timing has never been better. 225-614-1234. That's 225-614-1234. Tell them Blake at AYS sent you on by. Okay. If you do own a business, this would be a good time to say this too. If you own a business, if you work at a business and you want to sponsor, you want to get some ad sponsorships out there for your business, hit us up, DM us. Our phone number is right here too, 225-435-9387. Hit me up if you want to talk about it. We'd love to. We're certainly taking on some more sponsors before the start of next year. I'd really appreciate it. I'd love to talk to you. Really love to talk to you. Lindsay Bates, what's up, Lindsay? She says, right, I don't need to see Nuss now. I needed to see him Saturday to beat Alabama. We got some comments flowing in here. God, I'm not even all the way down. We got some serious comments flowing in here, so I'm going to scroll down. Damn, I didn't realize we had this many comments flowing in. Stephen Miller says there's a ton of running backs, wide receivers, secondary players in the state that would still easily come to LSU. I agree with that. The difference of where you need to go get is you need to maintain at quarterback, and you need to go get offensive linemen. Guys, there's no reason that your best right guard is sitting the bench. Your best center is sitting the bench. And I'm talking about Marlon Martinez. Why do you think that I'm beating on that drum so damn much? Because I saw the kid play 2 games and physically dominate. I didn't wake up one morning and say, oh, hey, here's the roster, 77. Let me start pounding the table for Marlon Martinez. Shit didn't happen. Eric Boyd says Deion Sanders for next head coach. Guys, I already told you. Stop with that. Stop. It's not happening. Greg Dyke on Facebook says holding Bama to 6 yards rushing is the GOAT. Hell yeah, it's the GOAT. Guys, that shit's impressive. Mason Smith, Ali Gay, Derek Stingley, Elias Ricks, Major Burns. What the F would have happened if they let Durante Jones go out there and run this shit all year long? Molly O says, LOL, a big no to Velcro cap adjusters. I'm not, guys, I can't take it. I cannot take it. I don't trust a man that wears a Velcro hat. Snapbacks and tattoos is exactly what Lincoln Riley is. He wears a Velcro visor. I will give you a pass on the visor. I'm not giving you a pass on a hat that looks like this with Velcro on the back of that son of a bitch. Get out of the 1990s and 1980s. I mean, Jimbo wants to talk about all the ranches he has more than Hidden Valley. Some of you, that comment's going to go over your head. Don't trust it. But Ann says, hashtag ask Blake, who would you like more, Jimbo or Lincoln Riley? I'd probably take Lincoln, personally. But again, Jimbo has won a national title, but he did not win a national. I mean, I guess you could say he won a national title with his players to some extent. But a majority of those guys weren't his, and he hasn't been able to maintain it. And I've said this, and I've taken ridicule from this. Everybody talks about big money, big Texas oil money. Well, shit, they didn't win before NIL, and name me the last time you've seen a big, lucrative NIL deal that meant worth a fuck. Stephen Miller says Riley constantly gets the quarterback. That's what LSU's always been missing to get to the top. He's not lying. Rob Miller says, just think if Jimbo is coach, we open with Florida State next season. God, wouldn't that be something? I wonder if Florida State fans would throw mustard. You know what they probably throw? Crab legs. They throw the Jameis Winston crab legs. Thank God that's not at home. Adam says Cristobal ain't it. Neither. Well, we'll see. Mark Lake, what's up, my guy? Big UFC fan, the guy that I can talk to most with on Twitter about UFC. What a great card, Mark, I must say myself last week. I thought Kobe did win 3, 4, and 5, but he did get dropped in the second. But he says, hashtag ask Blake, so if you don't get Riley, rank the next 3 you'd want out of Jimbo, Mel, and Napier. I think that you have them in order, honestly. For me, I think it would go Jimbo, Mel, and Napier. Now, there's some chit-chat out there that it's tough. It's been tough to get Lincoln Riley. Don't know how much I believe that. Guys, because money talks and bullshit walks. I looked this up the other day. Hold on. Let me look it up again just to make sure that I'm not telling you something wrong. Lincoln Riley salary. So Lincoln makes 7.6 or let's just say $7.7 million a year. Guys, I promise you, some of the things that LSU's offering right now, I'm not saying that they would double it to $14 million, but they get damn close. One thing that if nobody else listens to me, listen to this. Money talks and bullshit walks in a freaking tightrope. Pascal on YouTube says Jimbo is the perfect fit for LSU. Riley, Fickle, Cristobal would be. Okay. I dig it. Jerry Carter, hold on one second. Jerry Carter says Nuss trying to show out before Howard gets on campus. Man, Walker Howard's the damn truth, man. Guys, y'all ain't gonna be able to keep that kid off the field. Look, I'm just telling you, you ain't going to be able to keep that kid off the field. It's not going to happen. But look, I like Garrett Nussmeier. Let's see what he does. But everybody writing off Max, be careful with that. Be careful with that. Because that same guy that you were clamoring to in 2020 who went into Florida with none of his weapons outside of Kayshon Boutte available to him, went out there and won. The kid that was running his ass off against Florida and Ole Miss, be careful. And if God forbid that shit's Lincoln Riley coming in here, be careful. Now, if it's Jimbo, Max Johnson's probably transferring. Pooh Bear says, can Nuss see OBJ open? Probably. Amanda Baker says, on Facebook says, I'll never understand why people are so gung-ho on Jimbo. We can do so much better, younger, and get someone that has room to grow and build for a long time. I think it's relatability for Scott Woodward. I think it's comfortability. I think it's he knows what he's getting. But again, I don't know for me personally if Jimbo's the guy. I don't. This is how I feel. How I just feel. But I'm sure a lot of you feel like this too. It's not like it's a horrible hire. Guys, hiring Jimbo Fisher is not a horrible hire. It's kind of meh. You know, it's like when you're going to when you're in high school and junior high and you go to a school dance and you don't get the girl or the guy that you are really attracted to or the really hot girl or guy, but you go with a girl that's kind of like meh. That's kind of how I feel. She ain't a dime piece. She's ramen noodles. Oh, shit. Lord, stop me. Lord, stop me. Ryan Williams from the Drake Williams Law Firm says Jake Poots instead of Jake Peets. Y'all need to get over to my boy if you got messed up with Hurricane Ida and then people doing you wrong. They trying to do you like a millionaire, trying to get you riding dirty. They see me rolling. Kirk Paul says Riley and OU is the most overrated team in years. They should have lost at least 3 games this year. Kirk, the problem with that is that they haven't. And Kirk knows this, and I could say this to this comment because he knows, I like Kirk a lot. We're friends, whatever. Guys, at what point do we start living in reality? Woulda, coulda, shouldas, and close. Being close is only good in horseshoes and hand grenades. There's a part of me as a competitor that hates the fact that we lost Saturday. Great for the team. I'm proud of them. I really am. And I don't like moral victories. I will take what happened because it solidifies a lot to me about what's been really going on. Like, I don't like moral victories. Monday, I came out here and tried to fire people up and say, go punch those son of a bitches in the mouth. And quite honestly, you did. Because LSU players went out there Saturday and said, screw it. Come at us, bitch. Terry Hilton says, why don't you want Jimbo? Because he's not Lincoln Riley, and he's getting older. I mean, everybody was on Ed's ass in year 3 about winning a national title. Jimbo's got all the money. He's got, I was about to say somebody else. He's got Elon Musk type money at freaking College Station, and he hasn't won shit. He has the same argument that you make to your Texas A&M buddies about why they're not better than LSU is about they haven't won the SEC title. They haven't gotten to an SEC championship game. They haven't been in the playoff. Jimbo's been there over the last 4 years to not do that. Guys, he's been at Texas A&M as long as Ed Orgeron's been the head coach at LSU. Ed Orgeron, quite honestly, maybe not in the win and loss column to all the expect, like he's not blowing Jimbo out, but he is more accomplished at LSU than what Jimbo is at A&M. Everybody worries about the money. They got money to go get players. Well, that shit's been going on for a long time. Walter Nolan not putting the characteristic in it. He just got the number 1 defensive tackle, but that shit's been going on for a long time. This is LSU. You walk out with your chest out because you the dog. Why do you think LSU's been able to get recruits to stay home instead of go to Alabama? This isn't Georgia. This isn't Tennessee. This isn't Texas. The reason Alabama can go into all of those states is because nobody in those states are winning worth a damn. The reason it's tougher for them to come to the state of Louisiana is because LSU's winning or was winning. All right. Let's get down to the bottom. I missed a lot of these comments. We got comments flowing out the rear end tonight. But Skipper says, Blake, are you hitting the Crown Royal Black? No, I do not drink on the weeknights. Not on the show, at least. Not on the show, at least. Jared says, Jimbo ain't no Domino's thin crust meat lovers pizza. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. Man. God, I love me some thin crust Domino's pizza. Tiki Tac Taco says Blake's looking for a dime that's top of the line, slim waist, cute face with a big behind. I need a dime that's top of the line. Josh Forbes says they done confirmed it. They done confirmed what? Nobody confirmed. Somebody, please tell me what they confirmed, and I promise you they didn't confirm. Who confirmed what? Landon Benoit throws out something interesting. He says Billy Napier to Florida when Dan Mullen's fired. God, how bad has that been? Oh. Going around the SEC, Lane Kiffin is who we thought he was. If you take off the purple and gold glasses of wanting to hire him, guys, he's not been a fantastic coach. Not a head coach, not in the SEC. But even though LSU's going through a lot of shit, and we're going through a lot of shit, Dan Mullen's getting blown out by South Carolina. And that's taking a turn for the worse very quickly. Kurt Paul says probably because he told not to. Look at the difference from last year to this year. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Brandon Reese says, well, we're better off after a young coach like Riley. I agree with that. Ray Bergeron says LSU shouldn't settle for meh. Hashtag stop the bullshit. I agree with him. We're looking for a dime that's top of the line. Slim waist, cute face with a big behind. I found you, Lincoln Riley. Oh, shit. Hey, watch it not be Lincoln, and I have to eat this shit for years. Vance McBroom says at this point, Coach O is fired. I doubt that's the issue now. I believe it was before he was fired, but if that garbage O-line, that's out of the picture now. Vance, you mean the garbage O-line that ran for 125 net yards, rushing yards? SEC StatCat said Max Johnson was 2 in time that he was able to sit in the pocket last week. Trash. It's trash. The Nuss Bus on YouTube says if Lincoln Riley does not want to come here, hire Napier for Thanksgiving and lock the state down. Adam says he been in Moscona's whiskey cabinet. And Kurt says, I'm pretty positive Scone doesn't drink Crown. I'm not getting into that. I drink the top of the line whiskey. I'm staying away. You know what I have liked was this highway. I've been watching Yellowstone like half of America. I saw that they've been drinking the High West Noon whiskey bourbon. And I got to say, I've been on that kick for a while. Guys, there's nothing better than some High Noon. That shit be popping. It's expensive. Guys, it's expensive. It's expensive. I was about to say it was expensive than this. Yeah. All right, let's get a couple more, and then we're getting out of here. Chad Briscoe says Kiffin can't stay his ass where he's at, too. Yeah. Kurt says High West is amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. That shit's really good, man. Chase Meyer says, do you think that Coach O will be on the next staff in some capacity for recruiting? No. I don't think Ed Orgeron's going to be on any staff next year, anywhere. And Marcus says we need a coach that will stack the team and not have these real build seasons. It's the biggest secret that only really Nick Saban has ever to come up with and keep it at a high level. Now, Kirby's starting to do it, but if you can do it, you can do it at LSU. All right, guys, we will see y'all again tomorrow night. We will be guessing it up. See you then. I don't know who we have. Damn, where's my sheet? Either way, we'll still be here at 7. Oh, wait, no, we got the basketball game tomorrow. We'll figure that out. But until then, guys, y'all have a good night and peace out, Girl Scouts.